For homework assignment number 1, you're going to complete these 6 activities. You need to get 5 questions right in order for you to complete it fully. When you are evaluating an expression, you're going to erase and replace the letter with the given number. So you're going to erase the variable and replace it with parentheses and 4. So 6 parentheses 4 squared minus 7 parentheses 4 plus 9. Using your order of operations and performing your math from left to right, you're going to perform your exponent first. So 6 parentheses 16 minus 7 times 4 plus 9. Use a calculator if you need to. 6 times 16 is 96 minus 7 times 4 plus 9. Now I'm going to skip over this subtraction sign because the parentheses imply multiplication, and in the order of operations, multiplication comes before addition or subtraction. So I need to skip over this minus sign and perform 7 times 4 first. So 96 minus 28 plus 9. Now I can go back to the beginning and perform 96 minus 28. Using my calculator, I got 68, and now I can add 9 to that and get my final answer. This is what I'm going to type in that answer box. So I'm going to type a 77 in here now. I'm going to click submit. And it's going to ask me if 77 is the answer I want to submit. And yes, I do. And so I click yes. Okay, so after you click next problem up here, you're going to perform the same math. Use some scrap paper, and don't forget you are erasing and replacing the variable with the given value. So 80 minus 4 is 76, and you'll type it in to the answer box. Let's go back and take a look at the next one. Combine like terms with basic integers. So we're looking here at a word problem that describes a triangle that has 3 different sides, and their lengths are given with an algebra expression. So we have 8w plus 8x on one side, 3w plus 10y on the other side, and 4y plus 8x on the third side. So when you find the perimeter, which is when you add up all 3 sides, you're going to get a really long expression. You're going to get 8w plus 8x. You're going to get 3w plus 10y. And notice I put that y way over to the right because it's not the same letter as x, so I'm not going to line it up. And then the last one is a 4y plus 8x. So I'm going to put the 4y here and the 8x here. And the 4y is positive. So now I've got all my like terms lined up. So 8w's and 3w is 11w, 8x and 8x is 16x, and 10y plus 4y is 14y. And that's exactly what you're going to be looking for down here in the multiple choices. 11w, so let's see. This one has an 11w, this one does not. None of these, none of those, so I already found the answer. So I'm going to click here and submit. Same thing for the next problem. It's not a story, but it simply asks you to simplify by combining like terms. So c minus 10c and plus 3c. Now remember, if there's no number in front of the variable, it's an invisible one. So 1c minus 10c's is negative 9c's. And then I have to add 3c's, so that will give me negative 6c. Find that here and click submit. All right, third topic, simplify expressions with distribution. So distribution is when you multiply this number out here called the coefficient times everything inside the parentheses. Now notice when I multiply, I don't do this math because I have to get rid of these parentheses first. The only way to do that is to distribute. So I'm going to keep the 9c alone, but I'm going to multiply this minus 10, or negative 10, times 4c. So minus 10 times 4 is minus 40, and the c is going to go at the end. Then I'm going to do minus 10 times minus 2. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 10 times 2 is 20. So now I got rid of my parentheses. The last step is to combine like terms, which would be these two. 9c minus 40c is negative 31c. The plus 20 will just stay at the end. You cannot combine those because this one does not have a c. So I'm going to type that here in the answer box. Negative 31, a c plus 20. Now I'm typing using a keyboard, but you could also use the Delta Math keyboard. So when I click that little keyboard here, up pops all of the numbers and symbols. So a minus, a 31, the letter C would be down here for the ABC button. There we go. And I go back to my number pad, plus 20. And click submit. Awesome. All right, two-step equations. We're going to use some inverse operations here to isolate our variable. We want to get this letter A by itself. So 15 minus A divided by 12 equals 22 is the equation. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this 15. I'm going to do that by subtracting 15 from both sides. Now I'm writing it vertically underneath, but you can write it horizontally if you'd like. This makes 0, so bring down the minus, bring down the A, bring down the 12. 22 minus 15 is 7. Now you see this minus sign here, it actually can be anywhere. It can be written next to the A, or, it can be written, this was what I had, it can be written next to the 12. Sorry. So this statement is the same as this statement. They are the same. It doesn't matter where the minus sign goes. So I'm putting it with the 12 because I want to get A alone. I don't want it to have a minus sign. So I'm allowed to give it to this 12. But I'm dividing by negative 12. So the opposite of dividing by negative 12 is multiplying by negative 12. So I'm going to do that to both sides here. Isolate A and do my multiplication there. Negative 84. So I'm going to type that here, minus 84, and submit. Let's do this one more time. We want to isolate the letter Z. We want to isolate the letter Z. So I'm going to give this minus sign right here. I'm going to give it to the 5. And the first thing I'm going to do is add 37 to both sides. So Z divided by negative 5 is equal to negative 18 plus 37. So I'm going to use my calculator here, and I'm going to get 19. Now I have to isolate A by removing the dividing by negative 5. So I'm going to multiply by negative 5. So 19 times negative 5 is negative 95. And this is the work that you'd be doing on your scrap paper. So negative 95. There you go. Two-step equations with fractional coefficients. So same process, except for our last step, we're going to do two things at the same time. First step is always to get rid of your constant. This 15 here with no variable, that's a constant. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. And then 4/5 times c equals 59 minus 15 is 44. Okay. Now, 4/5 is timesing the c. So it's 4 times c and divide by 5. So we're timesing by 4 and we're dividing by 5. So I'm going to do the reverse of that. I'm going to times by 5 and divide by 4. You see that? It's a reciprocal. So times by 5 and divide by 5 cancel, and divide by 4 and times by 4 cancel. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. 44 times 5 divided by 4, or even easier, 44 divided by 4, which is 11, and 11 times 5. Or you could use a calculator, right? You could open a calculator and you could compute that math there. So 55 is our answer. We're going to type it here, 55. Okay, one more time. With the fractional coefficient, we're going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 5/8 a minus 4 equals 1. We're going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 5/8 a equals 5. And now we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. We're going to flip that fraction over, just like that. These are inverses. And 5 times 8 is 40, and 40 divided by negative 5 is negative 8. Or 5 divided by negative 5 is negative 1, and negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. So negative 8 is the answer. Minus 8, and we're done. All right, last one. Identify the type of function. Now this is brand new to you. You've never seen it before probably. You might remember some of the shapes from last year, but this one you probably don't know. Well, I definitely know that it's not linear, because linear lines are constantly straight, never turn, never bend. Now you haven't learned these yet, so let me give you a little pointer. Quadratics are always curved, like U's, like the U letter. It can be up or it can be down, but it's always curved. Quadratics only curve up and down. They do not curve left or right. These are not quadratics, right? Quadratics are U-shaped up or U-shaped down. Absolute values are V shapes up and V shapes down. So quadratics are U-shaped, absolute value is V-shaped. An exponential is like a J shape or a backwards J. So I see here that this one has a really sharp turn, and the ones with the really sharp turns are the V shapes. So this one is an absolute value graph. Now let's take a look at another one. This wasn't one of the choices last time. So this time I see two new choices. Remember, linear is always straight and quadratic is always a U, right? So linear is constantly straight, up or down, and quadratic is always U. So here are the two other ones. The cube root, it's a little curvy, like this or like this. That's a cube root. A square root, either like this or like that. It has an endpoint. It doesn't have two arrows. It could even be like this. Square root has an endpoint, and it curves up or down. So this one is a square root. All right, let's try another one. You see that? It's not constantly straight. It has a bend in it, but it's a really hard V shape. So that's an absolute value. This one It's not constantly straight. It's definitely curved. So it cannot be linear. It's not a U shape, so it can't be quadratic. And it definitely does not have a hard V, so it can't be absolute value. So this one has to be exponential. Exponential. This one has a nice U shape, so it's quadratic. This one has a hard V shape, so it's absolute value. This one is constantly straight, so it's linear. This one is a hard V shape, so it's absolute value. This one is constantly straight, so it's linear. This one is constantly straight, so it's linear. This one is quadratic because it's a U shape. This one is also quadratic because it's a U shape. I'm trying to find one that is cubic, but they haven't given me one yet. Oh, there it is. There's that real cubic squiggle. Okay, that is a cube root. Cube root. And then there's another one. Oh, I'm at the max, 15, okay? There's another one. So this is cube root. Let me show you with my marker. Cube root. Cube root. Right, it's that sideways squiggle. And then there is cubic, which is an up and down squiggle. Okay, so there's cubic and there's cube root. So that completes homework number 1. Good luck.